Hi all, right, welcome back to more Labyrinth, playing the extended campaign. So this is part 6? Or is it 7? No, I think it's 6. I think it's 6. If it's not, it's 7. Whatever it says in the header of the video. Okay, so yeah, I've just come straight back there, and that was another poor turn for us. We're just not. I mean, we've got some nice fair countries looking there, but yeah, when this goes like this is not what happened in my last attempt. We had a penalty briefly, a -1 penalty here briefly in that last game, and I managed to get it back into this side of things, or this at the worst. And this is just, it just shows you how hard it is to do things here. And but I'm probably going about it the wrong way. Well, I said I've got cards now. I'm just going to maybe do a reassessment. But it's the bot's turn anyway, so let's just move on to that. And I've just got a feeling this is going to be a bad event because I had the chance to stop their events. Okay, it's not then. That wouldn't have mattered anyway. So Abbas is a 2 ops US card, so it's not going to play that. It's going to look at this wonderful flowchart though that we all love and adore. So playable non-US event, no major jihad. Success at poor possible. Excuse me, no. Funding tight, no. Selling good or fair Muslim, no. Only got 2 cells in the poor country, which is going to be the next question, isn't it? So, poor cell with poor Muslim with 1 to 4 more cells than troops, yes. And just Central Asia. So, as a yes, among candidates find travel to priority. Well, that is Central Asia. Is there a movable cell adjacent? Well, there is, the one that's in Caucasus. Yeah. I think that's going to travel to Central Asia then. Obviously, it's trying to build up 5 cells to go for a major jihad, yeah? So this is a yes, so it's going to select travel. So that's the operation. We've got 2 ops here. So it's going to travel from... Sorry, no. See, yeah, I must still get stuck up with this because I said adjacent here, it's going to travel. We now look here, where it's going to travel, recruit and travel to... no, that's why that comes up first, Grant. Because you went from there to there. Why did I not click to that before? Or have I realised that before? Check, that's the same question as there, or the same check. Well, that's a question, that's just a check. That question says yes. We know what the candidate is, so it's going to travel. And then once it comes to here, if this had said yes, it's then going to say, is there a poor Muslim with 1 to 4 more cells and troops that it can travel to? Yes, there is. And remember, there's one, as long as there's at least one, you then stop. You don't move on, Grant. You just stop there, and then you look. Well, if there's more than one, you start looking down here. There is only one, right? So it's going to travel to here, like this basically just told us over here, but then you find where it travels from, and then it says, is there adjacent? And clearly that's why it does all this thing. See, very smart. Folk are like, yeah, you should have realised that a while back, Grant. So it is going to travel. Now, hold on here, though. We've got 2 ops, so the priority is to travel to here. Yeah, okay, and it's going to use 2 ops, and you know what? It's going to travel with this one automatically, and then it's going to check either this one or this one. No, the Russia one's is adjacent to Grant. So they're going to travel back to Central Asia. They travelled out there to cause a global war on terror relations penalty, and now they're moving back to create a major jihad in Central Asia that Grant's just put to adversary. Well, mind you, the fact it's at adversary now, I don't think really matters, does it? There's nothing. Well, yeah, it sort of matters. You can't do anything when it's adversary, Grant, whereas you could if it was neutral. I think we need to stay it hard because I think we're going to have another Islamist ruled country soon. Yeah, so the recruit and travel to priority, there's only one, is Central Asia. There's 2 ops available. It first wants to travel from adjacent. Now, if there was only one adjacent, see, how would it select? If there was only one adjacent here, let's just say that this wasn't here and it was down in here, right? So it's got 2 points to spend. Let's think this through. It's selected adjacent for the travel from. We know this is where it's going to travel to, and it's wanting to try and do it with 2 ops. So it's going to use 2 travels. So this one's going to automatically travel to there. Then the other 2 are not adjacent. So coming back to here, do I move to here now to find out where the second one comes from? Or do I just go down here? I'm going to leave that question there. Because, I'm pretty sure, like, it eventually sunk in that this was the target, and we need to travel to there. And it doesn't matter if one was adjacent or not. If there's only the one adjacent, you've got more than one ops. But I'm just wondering how we would prioritise between Philippines and Kenya, Tanzania for the second ops point here. If that's where this one was, clearly it's not. It's up here, but so yeah. I guess what I'm wanting you to tell me, guys, because I looked here to travel from adjacent. And I can only travel that one from adjacent. Well, clearly I can, but you know what I'm saying. If that cell was down here instead of there, then do I move to here? I mean, there's not an auto-recruit country to travel from anyway. And then fewer cells would still, again, if this was down here, it's still 1 cell each anyway. So it doesn't matter, but should I look there? Or because I selected that and there's now no more adjacent, do I just go down here, the travel from priorities? I mean, clearly in this situation, that's where I'd end up going anyway, because these don't do anything. But I want to know if I should look here. You know, if I've only had one adjacent, or if this selects this, and then that's it. We do all the adjacent travel we can, travel from we can, and then we go down the travel from priorities. So can you give me the answer to that one, please? I'm all right because I'm getting away with this, because they are both adjacent. So travel to Central Asia, travel from adjacent. We've got two ops. This is going to automatically travel to Central Asia, and this is going to automatically travel to Central Asia. That's used the 2 ops. No die rolling or anything like that. I mean, the good thing is they're not out there doing that. But then they don't need to do that now because they've got the global war on terror relations penalty anyway. So, yeah. Just something I noticed there, not relevant to what we were doing there, but this says the United States, this. So is this adjacent to the United States? It must be. It's a dotted line though. Why is Patriot Act? Is that because of that Patriot Act? Maybe. Just looking up here at the United States, you can see Patriot Act, and it's got the covering the dotted line there. That says to Philippines. I think the dotted lines what would cover by the Patriot Act. I think it means that what was that? It's the only country that's adjacent to the US is Canada or something like that, isn't it? When that event's in play, I think it was. We've seen it before. So I think that's why these lines are dotted. But at the moment, while Patriot Act's not in play, this cell looks like, or the Philippines looks like it's adjacent to the United States. So just want to keep in mind. Not that any of that travel there wanted to do that, but however, there we go. Okay, card number 2 coming up. So that was it was a US event. They used both ops there. Oh, hold on, stop. I was forgetting they've got a reserve. Right, let's come back here, hang on. Right, I think that means that cell's going to attempt to travel from the Philippines to there as well then, isn't it? And we don't need to look through, we don't need to whittle it down because it's the only cell left on the map. Yeah, and then the other thing, remember, the 2 cells leaving there had travelled, no cadres left behind when you travel, so we should have used that ops in reserve though, shouldn't we? Yeah, I mean jihad reserves are used by the jihadist bot whenever possible for any operation to maximum of 3 ops, card ops plus reserves. Yeah, they were doing a travel there. That's what operation they were carrying out. And if they could use it now, right now, if they couldn't use another point of travel, then I'm assuming they wouldn't use it. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? If the cell was not here and there's no other cells on the map to travel, I'll tell you the other place it would travel. See if one of these that hadn't travelled from there was active. They would use that other ops point to travel it underground. Pretty sure that's because it says that, doesn't it? Somewhere. Yeah, perform the operation to the maximum extent possible in the selected country, which was Central Asia. If less than 3 total ops plus reserves were used in the first target country, well, but yeah, I mean, I should add in the reserves to this. Okay, let's step back there then and use this reserve to also attempt to travel this from the Philippines. And that's well, I'll tell you what, it's kind of good that that's moving out of there, but it's not kind of good that they're going to have 5 cells in there. So this travel attempt needs a 3 because the country's poor. That's right, isn't it? Travel. Move cells, active sweeper, any of the destination countries to adjacent or within the same country is automatic. Move a cell to target country and set it to sweeper. Remove a cell, and if we fail, remove a cell at the funded track. Right, okay, so we're going to do this. Are you okay with that, Grant? Yeah, I think we just caught a possible error there. Just wondering, I think that reserve... Right, hold on then. That reserve got left from the last card play, didn't it? It was the radicalization that we couldn't use the last ops, and it just got put into reserves, I think. Oh, I said that was the last thing that they'd done. And what did they do to radicalize? First? No, you couldn't find anything, could you? Yeah. What was it they done last turn? Okay, it's going to be Saddam. Yeah, they played this and it was unplayable. Is that right? And then the card before that was Gaza War, which I resolved. Yeah, that's right. And then that was the second card they played, but it became unplayable because it done nothing. So they used the 3 ops. What did they do with the first two ops then? Why do you have to go back and work this out? Yeah, what did they do with the first two ops? Because the last ops, they couldn't do anything and they couldn't really radicalise with it. So, I mean, these two cells were in Russia and Caucasus. That's not what they done, was it? Right, and it's on the camera. I've not copied the part across yet. It's going to be something simple. Wasn't it a minor jihad attempt? It must have been, yeah, hold on. Was there not two cells there? Yeah, a minor jihad attempted in Indonesia and we rolled high. Rolled a 5 and a 6 or something. They needed a 1 or a 2. Yeah, that's what they done. That was the first 2 points, and then the last point got put in reserves because they couldn't find any radicalised with it. And that's because that didn't apply, that didn't apply, that didn't apply, that didn't apply, and then any remaining ops to reserves. Yeah, okay. So good, right? Okay, so I'm gonna rewind and come back and try and travel that cell from the Philippines to Central Asia. We need a 3 or less, or they need a 3 or less. I get 6. Good. We really needed that, I tell you. So that cell failed. Goes back to the track. Now remember, failed travel is still test, but this is already tested, so that's fine. So that was good. That was really good. Okay, now stepping back to their second card then. Is that right? I almost got caught with that. And it just worries you. It just makes you stop and think, how many other things are you getting caught with here? Right, okay. Let's move on. Second card of their phase. Right, so this is an event that the door, if it was closed, would have stopped. Well, I don't know if it's if it's working or not. So Iran, Shia regional power active. So select and test the Shia mixed country. Right, I got that wrong the last time as well. I just randomised it between Shia mixed countries, but you don't do that. And then if jihadists play, remember, do the first bit. If jihadists play, make 2 jihad rolls there. Ignore failures or shift to Islamist rule. That's horrible. Okay, well, it's playable. Right, so how do we select this? Well, actually, hang on. Let's look at the event. 105. Hang on. Right, would be across this side, right? Grant's on his feet again. 104 and 105, so there's 2 of these cards. Iran, with ties to Shia militants throughout the Mid-East, traditional enmity towards the Taliban and Shia theocracy, ultimately incompatible with the Sunni caliphate envisioned by the jihadists, Iran's regime always has the potential for indirect cooperation in the US war on terror. But its counterpoised ambitions for regional hegemony and nuclear capability, its historical adversary to Washington, and the threat posed to its regime by democratic ideals has more often led it to undermine US efforts in the region. Right, there was some big nasty words there for Grant to try and get his tongue around. Okay, and I'm probably sure I'm butchered some of them. Right, so yeah, I wanted to check the event table though. So 105. Yeah, we do have stuff here. Did I look at this then the last time? This feels like the card that I made a little, somebody made a comment on that I didn't do it right. Maybe it wasn't this one. So, good then fair. Use jihad. priorities table to select among multiple candidates. Right, I'm confused. Select and test the share mix country. Yeah. And then it's saying good then fair. Remember, we can still select a share mix country that's already been tested. And I think that's why it's saying good then fair there. Select and test a share mix country. Okay, so what's the share mix? The share mix one's the green background, so the darker symbol. So yeah, right now, Gulf States is a share mix country that's already been tested and it's fair. Whereas Yemen here is a share mix country that's not been tested. Pakistan's fair as well. So is that saying, when it says good then fair, obviously there's no good Muslim countries, right? So we don't need to look for that, but there is fair. So Afghanistan, Gulf States and Pakistan are all Shia mix countries that are fair. Syria there's not, it's a Sunni one. Indonesia here is a fair Sunni as well. Yeah, and clearly it's one good then fair because it's going to do jihad roles. It can't do a major jihad here, so yeah, basically what this card's doing is having two shots at trying to turn a country from fair to poor, isn't it? Because if it was to select a country that wasn't tested, we would then test it, and it could then just be poor, and then does that not mean nothing else happens then? Make two jihad rules there. Ignore Ignore failures? What do you mean ignore failures? Ignore failures or shift to Islamist rule? Ignore failures? Why are we rolling then? I'm confused even more now. I'm sure that makes perfect sense. It just, I can't get my head around that. But ignore failures. Jihad. Failure would remove a cell at the funding trap, but we're not messing about with cells. It's allowing us to do this jihad without cells. I just don't understand why it says make two jihad rules there. Oh, hold on, Grant. If it was good, yeah, stop. If it was good, you're going to turn it to poor. Of course. That's worse than I thought then. I'm still not sure. I think I want to go and look at this card. Just have a glance at BGG for this, just in case. Right, well, I found a bit of information on BGG, but again, because there's nothing in the Awakening rules about this card that I found, and because these got brought in with the Awakening, didn't they? The event text. What card is it? 105, 104 and 105, isn't it? There's nothing really about this, but I think it's straightforward, isn't it? I think so good then fair, and then use jihad priorities table to select among multiple candidates. Iran. Yeah, and well, what I did find out about ignore failures or shift to Islamist rule is just that, yeah. There's no real I don't see the point in rolling the dice, so if the country we picked was good, we'd roll two dice and it would become poor. If the country was fair, it would roll two dice and it would become poor. It can't shift to Islamist rule. And if it was poor, well, you can't do a jihad role in a poor country. Yeah, that doesn't do anything anyway, Grant, and it can't be shifted as Islamist rule. So the country that we select is going to end up poor. That's the bottom line, isn't it? Maybe the words could have been easier. I don't know. It's not too difficult, I think, when you look at it, when you think about it. So I don't think I need to roll the dice. So let's find the country. I think because the event instruction table wants to select good and then fair. There's no good Shia mix countries. Remember, we've first got to select, and if it's not tested, test a Shia mix country. Some of the confusion in that card was because it said the word select, and I think in the rules, if you select something, you're able to pick. It's not roll a dice to test it. You pick it. I'm not sure the word select is right, but I think that was what was confusing folk. I'm not going to look at that. I don't think, but that's not what it means. It means that you've got to select a country and then test it. You know. What I mean is, like, some cards will say, what was the card that set? It's set, isn't it? It's no select at all. It's set China's posture, and I think that's you get to choose it, don't you? Or is it choose? Well, I'll be in the room. Man, I don't know why you need to know that, Grant, but there's different terms for it, is what I'm saying. And I think the confusion was because it says select and test, some folk were thinking, well, they're two different things, select and test. I'm trying to find the terminology here, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Oh, select. Is that in the glossary? No. Test. Test will be there, I would think. Procedure used to find unmarked countries. Governance 4.9.4. Just wonder if it's in there. Initial tests. Unmarked. It's in here somewhere. But I don't think it's select. I think it's set. You can set a governance or maybe a posture. Right, I'm getting bogged down, so let's stop. But that it's fair enough. I've got to select a country and then test it if it's not already tested. Shia mix country, we want good, then fair. There's none good. There's some fair Shia mix countries, so that's where we're looking. And yes, it's going to be between Afghanistan, Gulf states, Pakistan, which are all Shia mix countries, and they're all fair. Saudi Arabia is Shia mix country, but it's poor. The other fair country here is Indonesia and Malaysia, but it's Sunni. So it's between these three, isn't it? So Afghanistan, Pakistan, Gulf states. Maybe this is going to be the target because Pakistan tends to be the target from time to time. Syria is fair, but it's Sunni as well. Okay, just looking around trying to not make... So it said good then fair. Well, we've got fair. And then use jihad priorities table. Oh, it's a jihad priorities table. To select amongst multiple candidates. Right. So, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Gulf states, jihad. That's for expansion. Is it? Where's it tell you? It tells you in the bottom. Yeah, it is. That's awakening. Because it's best DRM. Because this is a jihad we're actually doing, isn't it? Okay, moving on. That's expansion. Right, Pakistan. It is still Pakistan. Pakistan unless no arsenal. Remember, that one didn't apply. Right, so Pakistan unless no arsenal. Pakistan is fair. Yeah, this is horrible, isn't it? So we select, it's a Shia mixed country, and test it if it wasn't tested, which is, my guess is that you would only be, from the bot's point of view, you've got to remember that if you're playing this as a 2-player game here, the player that's playing this card, see this select and test Shia mixed country, and it's all in the same card. I wish this was a separate bit, because this feels like when you're reading this, it's part of the US play, and then they've got this sort of lighter box that tells you about the jihadist play. The select and test the Shia mixed country, full stop, is what you would do before. It should be it should be separate, shouldn't it? You feel like that should be, do that first. Then, if it's the US, if it's jihadists, do that. I know it says if US play, but it's just the next sentence from that. I mean, this is clearly separate because it's in a box, it's a lighter colour. Just, that's all. It sort of feels like that it should be the US player that selects and tests the Shia mixed country. I know that makes no sense. And I'm pretty sure what this is I just feel if it had been above the flag or something like that, or if it had been just a separate paragraph of its own. I know there's a lot to fit in this card, but I don't know if you get what I'm saying there, but anyway, it's maybe just me. So anyway, sorry, coming back to that. If you were playing this as a 2-player game and we were the jihadist player, then we could select and test a Shia mixed country of our choice. Now, I might want to say Yemen, so I would select Yemen. It's not being tested, and that's why it says select and test. However, playing this for the bot, it wants to prioritise good, then fair Shia mixed countries. So we're not going to do the test at all unless there's no good or fair Shia mixed countries in play. Yeah? I think that's right. So anyway, we've picked Pakistan. Oh, good. Right. So Pakistan, and we're going to make 2 jihad rolls there. We're going to ignore the failures or shift to Islamist rule. Well, I'm not going to be daft and roll the dice, right? I'm just going to shift Pakistan to poor. Remember, it would have 2 rolls at it, but we'd ignore the failures anyway. So it's clearly going to... Unless it means... Oh, Grant, I think that's your head thinking things that shouldn't be thinking. Ignore failures. It means it succeeds, does it not? Yeah, hang on right now. I'm going to roll 2 dice because I want... So it was fair. I'm going to roll the 2 dice just to get my head round this, just to make sure I'm not being stupid here. So I'm rolling 2 dice. It was that fair. I have to ignore failures. So does that not mean that it succeeds, or does it mean that you just ignore the failures? I think I'm overthinking. Let's hope we get a 1 or a 2 on this. Right, we did. Right, so I'm just... Right, because that was fair, right, we have to ignore the failure. So I ignore this die roll. That's a success. I mean, what I initially thought was that we roll these 2 dice and we ignore failures, which means they both succeed. Which then I'm thinking, well, why would you need to roll the dice? But then afterwards I'm thinking, it just says to ignore the failures. So if we had rolled that, do we just ignore that and leave it at fair? That doesn't make sort of sense, but make 2 jihad rolls there, ignore failures, or shift the Islamist rule. I think I'm overthinking there. You know what? I rolled a success. unless I'm not. But then why would it say ignore failures? Ignore failures means, well, it doesn't really mean turn failures into a success, does it? It just means ignore failures. Look, we got a 2 and a 3, we got 1 success, which is all we were going to get anyway. If we had 2 successes, it's still going to be poor. If anybody wants to tell me I'm overthinking that, then I'm sure you will. Okay, right, moving on. Okay, that's their 2 cards played. That was an unassociated event, Grant. Hold on then. We played that for the event. Yes. You're getting some more reserves then, aren't you? Two, yeah, it was an unassociated event, so playable non-US event, yes. Play event, was it unassociated? Yes. Add the cards value to jihadist reserves. So we get 2 reserves as well. That's right, I did play it for the previous card was a US card, they just used that for ops. That they used for the event. Yeah. Ignore failures. I don't know. Okay. Right then. Right. That's their turnover. I've discarded their cards. Well, I did say I was going to go soft. I'm now sort of worried about this, and we've got 5 troops on the track, but we do have the potential to move troops back, but I'd love to resolve this regime change and move their troops back, but this, you can't keep wasting cards trying to turn countries back from soft to hard, Grant. Just go soft, and then get a war of ideas attempt on Afghanistan again with a better die roll, Okay, so I need 3 ops cards. I really don't want to do this. So, well, should I just use this? The fact that I just let it play. How many have they got left? They've got 5 cards left. That Iran card would not have been playable there if I'd played that, but this I can't really see being... unless I keep this the last card and keep it in my hand. But remember, it would mean I've got to play both of these, and I don't want to play both of them. I'm still not 100% sure which one's worse, to be honest. I'm starting to think this one's worse now. I initially thought this was, but I'm starting to think it's maybe that one. Well, you could give yourself time to think about it and just use these 2 cards. The annoying fact is I could play these for events. I think I'm going to do that. Yeah. So I think I'm going to play both of these cards for the ops and do a reassessment. So where are we here? Okay, so where is it? Here, 7.6. I'll just double check the rulebook for that then, because we've not done this before. I didn't do it in the previous game either. So a reassessment operation allows US side to change US posture from hard to soft to hard. Unlike other US operations, reassessment requires play of 2 cards, each of 3 value, taken on an entire US action phase. The US player decides what order the posture switch and any triggered jihadist events occur. Posture switch must be carried out. Yeah, posture switch must be carried out. Yeah. Hi all, right, back to continue this part 6. That is part 6, yeah. And let's say I'm 39 minutes in there or so, so coming up for 40 minutes. I got cut off last night and wasn't able to get back. So I'm going to put these 2 cards back though, just to have a little rethink again. I was going to do this what's it, reassessment. I'm probably still going to do that, but I'll just take the cards back just now. Couple of things to talk about, but one quite important one here that I just want to go over and try and understand. The reason I'm taking the cards back is because I'm at 40 minutes. And I'm starting to talk about something. It could be another 20 minutes here, and then before you know it's an hour and I'm cutting the video and moving on to the next part. So I'm as well keeping the cards at the side just now. Again, there's been a few comments on my YouTube playthrough. I've only still got part 3 put out there, and I haven't finished watching all part 3 back. And I've got part 4 and 5 to watch back, which scares me a little because I will get a chance tomorrow. I'm travelling in and out on the train. So I will get a chance tomorrow to catch up on things, but I feel like I've moved on enough that if somebody does spot a mistake, it's not going to be easy to fix. So let's hope I'm getting things right. There's no guarantees with that though. Anyway, like I say, there is a few comments. If you want to look at them, I will bring it up anything that's important. I think this is going to mess with my head, this, what I'm about to talk about, but it's laid out here so I can maybe go through it and try and understand it. Right, so this was from, and Jean made a few comments regarding part 3, and I seen one of your comments actually, Jean, and then this morning it was gone. Like you said, it's been gone. I haven't replied to you on your message to BGG yet. I will reply, and I'll also add this to my reply, but it's here in the video as well. I do know that if you insert any links into YouTube, sometimes they'll remove the comment. They'll not. I've had it before myself, so it might be that you've had something in the YouTube comment. Whether it was a link, maybe it was a link to, well, no, because it wasn't this that you were talking about at the time. Well, it was this you were talking about, but I don't think you put the link in. Because I started reading your comment, and I said, right, I'm going to come back to that. And I didn't get back to it later on. No, I think it was just when I was going to bed last night, because I seen your message, and you said that the comment had been, it wasn't there anymore, and then I looked, and right enough, it wasn't there. So it might be that you're putting some links in, and I think YouTube doesn't like that at times. Sometimes you get away with them, sometimes you don't. So maybe that for the future, if you think things are, if the YouTube's picking on you, it might be something to do with that. Anyway, so he sent me a message regarding this as well, and basically the message was, let's get the message up. Radicalization Travel. Yeah, he said, good evening, I lost once again some YouTube comments I made, so just sending this geek mail to make sure you don't miss the fact that yes, I found an official answer to the questions raised in your part 3. Now remember, I've still not watched through all part 3, but I know this is to do with, well, basically radicalization travel. That's what he's titled the subject of his message to me here. And I think the comment that went missing from him was actually him. He was a bit like he would like to know the answer to this too. It wasn't clear cut and whatever. So he sent the link here to the old thread. Yeah, whether you maybe did send this link, like I say, YouTube doesn't seem to like links to other things at times, I think. So he sent me this link. And this is the designer of the bot, and I mean the physical bot, not the app bot, if you like. So where is it? I've just went back. That was select. Right, hang on. We'll get there. Right. So the thread that the bot, Adam, who's the designer of the physical bot, is called Jihadist Bot Radicalization Question 2. Yeah, and there's somebody in particular, Colin, is confused about the radicalization, the travel. I'm not going to read that bit because when we get to Adam's reply here, this is his reply. So I think all we need to do is read this. So he says, hi everyone, here's how you should proceed for rad travel. So radicalization travel, okay? So let's try and go through this, and I can't even remember where I was getting muddled up. And I want to say it's due to like moving to. Actually, I think we're going to have a good example now that these cells have moved back. Well, we could pretend that these are not marked while we're looking at this. Okay, so it says, and let's just this is important because it seems like it's been confusing a lot of people, including myself, and just not sure how to go about it. So radicalization travel, and the first one you get to is here. And this is only a radicalization bit that selects travel, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So if US posture is hard and there is no global war on terror releases penalty, right? And so the main purpose of this is to attempt to get some soft countries out there to push this down to give a penalty, which is what they've done. And remember that a failed travel still tests the country. However, Adam does add later on that it's the other reason. Let me just. It's also advantageous for the travel to succeed. If the bot were to. I thought there was something else I did. Anyway, it does help if the travel succeeds as well. Maybe there is something written there. But however, so if US posture is hard and there's no global war and terror release penalty, travel to as many unmarked non-Muslim countries as possible, one cell each, choosing the origin first, using the travel from priorities of the op-P. Right, and just before I read this out, Colin comes back, and maybe I should read this out first, but he says, this makes sense, but by a strict reading of the rules, it can't happen, and therefore is an exception. As you have not selected to travel to country, you can't select adjacent travel from countries. But anyway, this is what Adam's put in here, and this is how it's meant to work. Okay, so let's just go with that. Because yeah, I mean, it's confusing when you've got to select the travel from. This is the only time that you do it, isn't it? Usually you would select the travel to country and then decide where they're travelling from. And in this way it does it the other way about. I'm sure there's a reason for that, whether I'm going to read it out here or not. And it's because you're looking at adjacent countries. You want to be able to travel, because like he says, even though the main purpose is to select some soft countries to get a global war on terror relations, the fact that I found out after making the mistake that a failed travel still tests the country, so that should be enough. So why does it matter if it's adjacent? But it does say it is still advantageous if the cell travels rather than fails the travel and goes back to this track. So it would prioritise doing things adjacent so that they're automatic, successful travels, yeah? And they test the country and everything's good in the world, right? So that's what it's meant to do. So let's read out his steps here. So here's how you should proceed for radicalization travel. 1. You already know the general target country, which is unmarked non-Muslim, right? So we know that wherever we're traveling to, it has to be an unmarked non-Muslim country, right? So right now, looking at this, yeah, I mean, the only one that's applicable right now, and sorry, it needs to be, a cell needs to be able to, right, hold on, no. You already know the general target country, an unmarked non-Muslim country. Yeah, but we need to know more than that, right? So 2 says, knowing that, begin by reviewing all cells on the map, identifying those that are adjacent to unmarked countries, which is the op travel from first box. So we come here, we look here, because it does say in the radicalization rules that that's where we look first. Okay? We travel to as many unmarked as possible, choosing the origin first, using the travel from priorities of the op. So the first place we look is here, right? And we want to travel from adjacent. So is there any adjacent countries? Now, there needs to be a cell. There needs to be a cell there. So that is adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim countries, right? So right now, looking at the map at the moment, I mean, we did have these before, but now these have been marked. But this is just going back, not not that long ago, and so we can see that I don't want to take the markers off or I might get confused. Yeah, because I don't know what I'm going to be looking at here anyway. So right now, this is a travel from this is a travel from country, because this is an adjacent non-Muslim country that's not been marked. This is a travel from country because it's the only country with cells in it. I mean, I'd like to spread some other cells about just to show, but maybe I'll just point and say, imagine there's a cell there, right? And then this is a bit that I tried to read while I was at work, and bear in mind, again, I was up very early this morning, so reading some of these things and just absorbing it. So there's a 3A, a 3B, and a 3C here. So step one was, you know that you're targeting an unmarked non-Muslim country. Step two is, look at the cells in the map and identify the countries that are adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim countries. Right, Central Asia is the only one in this case, right? Can't we create another one? Let's just shimmy this cell down to Indonesia here, right? Hopefully I'll remember and put it back. So now we've got two different travel from option. Now, if that was just like that, we don't need to bother. We don't need to bother going down here. This is my take on it. I've not started reading 3 yet. We don't need to bother going down travel from, because it's the only country that can travel from, right? Whether the country's adjacent or not, that's the only one, right? But we know that they can go adjacent. We've came to adjacent, we've stopped there, and we've got this situation, right? Okay. My head's hurting already. Right, so 3A, but, sorry, jumping back again. I knew I was going to make a poor job of trying to explain this, to be honest. Let's say this cell was here as well. Well, now our travel from country needs to be whittled down a bit. We need to go through the priorities, because we've got two countries with cells in them that are adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim countries. The Central Asia is adjacent to China. Indonesia is adjacent to Thailand. Okay, so we need to work our way through that. Let me put that back there again, just so that's fine. I'm good with that. So I think this is maybe what it's going to tell me in 3A. But so it says in 3A, it says, if there are more candidate cells than ops plus reserves being used, use the travel from priorities table to select among them. Okay, let me try and... So if there are more candidates... Yeah, and let's just say we are operating with 3 ops, right? Let's say we're operating under 3 ops. So is there more cells than 3 ops? Candidate cells. So cells that are in the travel from country that can travel to an adjacent non-Muslim unmarked country. Yeah, there's 4 cells here. So if there is, we need to use a travel from priorities table to select among them. And that's what I just said, I think, isn't it? That's what I just said. So we need to prioritise which one is going to be first. It could end up here, or it could end up here. If it's just here, even though there's 4 cells, and it says we need to find the travel from, well, they're all in the same country, so it's just going to be Central Asia, isn't it? Let's move on to B. It says, if the number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim countries... So hang on, this is a different thing. So the first one was, if there are more candidate cells than ops plus reserves being used, use the travel from priorities table to select among them. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, just let's grab some cells off the track here. Let's just say we had 2 cells here. Let's just say we had... let's make it a bit more complicated. Let's say we had 2 cells up there in Lebanon. So Lebanon's adjacent to Schengen countries. I think it was adversary, isn't it? Yeah, I looked at that yesterday. It starts like that. So there's 2 possibilities there. There's 4 possibilities there, and there's 2 possibilities there. So, but if we were using 3 ops, right? use the travel from priorities table to select among them. Let me just try and think this through. If for some reason the priority was... No, let's not say Lebanon. Well, if the priority turned out to be Indonesia, then this first cell would do that, wouldn't it? That's only one ops though. And there's another... See... Yeah, hang on. Let me just... I need to... So, reading on... Just read 3B, Grant. If the number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslims is equal to the ops plus reserves being used, now use travel to priority to select among the adjacent target candidates. See, this is all written in a way that's going to be simple to work out, but I think I get my head around this. If the number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim is equal to the ops, now use travel to priorities. And then 3C is, if the number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim is less than the ops plus reserves, travel any adjacent, then return to the op-P, travel from flowchart and continue. Okay. See, the first one I can't get my head round. If there are more candidate cells than ops plus reserves being used, use the travel from priorities table to select among them. Yeah, so I'm going to put these back. Let's only have these two countries. So if this is a priority country, well, why don't you just find it, Grant? I actually think it's Central Asia, isn't it? Travel from, not destination, Islamist rule. Poor then, fair then good. There we go. Yeah. So it's going to travel from... what I'm sort of not liking in this situation is the 4 cells there. I'd rather have it because we've got 3 ops. If there are more candidate cells than ops plus reserve being used, use the travel from priorities table to select among them. So the priority is Central Asia. If the number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslims is equal to the ops plus reserves being used, now use travel to priorities. Yeah, no. This is not what I could do with his dogs barking. My head's buzzing enough. 3B. If the number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim is equal to the ops plus reserves, now use travel to priorities. If the number of cells... I'm not getting this at all. Hang on. Yeah, I'm struggling to understand this. I guess I do just struggle with certain things. There's the things there. So this one here says, if the number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslims is equal to the ops plus reserve being used, now use travel to priorities to select among the adjacent target candidates. Let's imagine Russia and Caucasus is unmarked at the moment. So there's 4 cells in Central Asia that have all got adjacent unmarked non-Muslim countries. Well, 3 unmarked non-Muslim countries. So if there are more cells... If the number of cells is less than the ops... Nah, I didn't get it. I'm not getting it. I just can't get the way that this is written, okay? So, however, I still think I'm doing this right. The one bit I need to know, and I think it's that last bit, because it says travel any adjacent, then return to the op-P travel from flowchart and continue. And I think this is the question I was asking, that, yeah. So it does return here. And now there's no adjacent. So it goes here. Can it travel from any auto-recruit? Can it travel from a country with fewer cells? And then if for some reason they both had just 1 cell each, fewer cells, let's say there's 3 countries with fewer cells, then we would come here again. Is that right? Yeah. If the number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim countries is less than the ops. Yeah, so if there's only adjacent, if there's only one, well, I think we're going to see it here. Apart from there's too many ops, so there's too many ops. Say this was a priority country. It's got one. It would travel to here. Now, if there was then no more unmarked non-Muslim countries adjacent, it would then come back to here and go to the next step and see if it could travel from an auto-recruit country, and then it would go to there and travel from the country with the fewest cells. And I think what I was asking and I think this is an important bit, because I think I was asking, once we selected the country, so in this case, say this was the priority to travel from, right? And we had, let's just say these were marked. Let's put them back marked. We've got 3 ops. Well, there's only one country. This would travel to here. Now, what I then wanted to know was, we've got 2 ops left. Now, we can't travel adjacent anymore. Let's forget about the cells in Indonesia and Malaysia. We can't travel adjacent anymore. So, do we still travel out of Central Asia though? In fact, no, this works like that, doesn't it? So we've travelled 1 cell, we've got 2 ops left. These can't travel adjacent. So the take I got from what Jean had said earlier, I think, and unless I picked them up wrong with us back in the previous playthrough, that we would still use this country to travel to, even though there was no adjacent left. But that's not what this is saying, I think. I think this is saying that, we've travelled, that was, if the number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim countries is less than the ops plus reserves being used, travel any adjacent, then return to the op. If the number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim countries is less than the ops, that's not. There's 4 cells adjacent. The number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim countries is less than the ops. That's not true. So I just don't get that. But that doesn't make any sense. We don't need to know if there's 4. I'm not getting this, Summer. I'm not getting it. I guess what my thinking is there, that I think this is trying to tell me that I travel that to there. I've got 2 ops left. I then come back to here. But then we do have adjacency still here. Well, that's fine, Grant. That was a priority in Central Asia. We will come back down here now. And this is still adjacent. I mean, whether we need to look at the flowchart for that. You know what you're trying to do, that's the thing. You're trying to travel from adjacent. But I do feel that Jean had said to me that no, you're not going to look at another, once you've selected to travel from country. And I think maybe that's what was thrown me. Because I thought he was right with that, but I think reading this, I don't think that's right. I think we would look down here, and we've got 2 ops left, and this has got an adjacent non-Muslim country. Well, that would then move to there. Now we've got 1 ops left, and now we've no adjacent non-Muslim countries that are unmarked. So, if the number of cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim countries is less than the ops, yeah, I've got 1 ops left, and there's no cells adjacent to unmarked non-Muslim countries. So then we return to the OP travel flowchart and continue travel from flowchart again. I don't know if I'm getting this right at all. I really don't. There's nothing more adjacent. There's no auto recruit. Fewer cells. Well, we could break that down, because travel from Central Asia has got 3 cells. Travel from Indonesia, Malaysia's got 1 cell. So then we found the cell, and then that's got to then travel to an unmarked non-Muslim country using the recruit and travel to Would I look at the flow chart first? No, it doesn't matter because it's got to be non-Muslim, innit? So it's got to come to non-Muslim and stop there. Yeah, and then we'd look there for it. Oh gosh, I don't know. That's hard going that. And you're probably, I know you're out there probably shaking your head saying, what's difficult about that, Grant? It makes perfect sense to me. Well, just some of these things I just can't, it's just not setting in for me. It looks like it's written simply, but reading it is just really difficult for me. Right, I've just added another 26 minutes to this video here with that, and I'm still not sure what's going on, to be honest. Um, I'm going to stop this video. I'm going to take a little bit of a break because my head's hurting trying to get around this. What I think I'm going to do is I've still not replied to Jean with regarding finding this, and I'm going to ask him if he can make that a bit clearer to me because I'm struggling to get it, and see if he can come up with something. I mean, I could wait until this video is aired, but this is part 6. I want to play on. I might get an answer from him. He might be able to put something down. I mean, even I wonder if I should put it on my, because Tim would be able to have a good go at that too. Just to convert it into a wee bit more. I don't know. I think I need example. I need it written differently, I think. I'm just struggling with that. Okay, I'm going to go away and do something. I'll be back soon. Cheers.